Hey guys, it's Kat and I am back today to conclude my 2022, what was it called? Team Project Pan. Oh my God, that took me like 2 minutes to remember that. Holy moly. Anyway, I've just filmed, my last video would have been a new project pan that I'm doing for the first quarter of the year. It is a MAC inspired one. I'll talk all about it in that video. I'll link it down below if you missed it. So I am starting a fresh new capsule project pan for 3 months. And in this video, I'm going to conclude how I went with my 2022 project pan. I'm going to tell you all the products I've used up since my last check-in and also do a recap of how many products I've used up and what categories they were from. So were they powders? Were they bronzers? What have I done? So I'm going to do that. But I'm going to tell you that I am continuing my team project pan for 2023, but I might start it in February. Simply because I have another project pan on the go. So I've got, I think, 4 lip products in that. I've got a few eyeshadows. I've got like 3 cheek products. I've got a lot in that, but also because some of these products I've literally just used up today. So I haven't had a chance to decide what products I want to pan throughout this year. I know I want to pan more foundations. I know I want to focus on eyeliners. I want to do a declutter of my eyeliner collection. I literally have a bag of eyeliners from when I moved house, which was a year ago, and I have not touched them. I literally keep out like 2 eyeliners and I just rotate 2 brown ones and occasionally bring out like a teal, whereas I've got a bag full of eyeliners. So I want to go through them, declutter them, and also focus on which ones I want to pan throughout the year. So there's a little bit of research and a little bit of playing around that I need to do before I start this project pan. So I'm going to start it in February. I'm going to give myself a few weeks. I just want to take some time to figure out which products I want to focus on this year. And it takes a little bit of trial and error. Like if I focus on like a foundation, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to pan this foundation. Then I've used it for a week and I'm like, actually, I really hate it and it's oxidizing on me and I'll throw it out. I want to know that before I introduce it in my project pan because it's just easier to get it all sorted before I start it. So there will be a full-faced rolling project pan, but it'll start in Feb. So let's start talking about the products that I've used up since my last check-in. Now I've actually used up, I think, nearly all of the products I earmarked to use up. The first product I used up was my In a Good Light face tint from Mecca Cosmetica. So this is empty. I'm holding it up to the light. There's only little specks around. It is completely empty. Essentially, this was an SPF product, an SPF 30 product with a little bit of a tint. So you could use it as a base product. For me, I felt like there wasn't enough coverage. It just sort of added a little bit of bronziness to my face. But yeah, it's completely gone, as you can see. So I actually used this as an SPF and then I put on top a light foundation or a concealer or a powder foundation. So this one has gone. Speaking of powder foundations, my Nude by Nature powder foundation is also gone. Hopefully you can see there's nothing, like there's little dregs left in there, really nothing. I quite liked this. It didn't last all day on me, so I probably wouldn't repurchase it. And I found the packaging towards the end really annoying to access the product, but the shade was fine and the coverage was quite nice, and I finished that one up. As of today, I finished up my Mario Badescu. This is the facial spray with aloe, chamomile, and lavender. So last check-in, it was up to there. When I introduced it, it was up to there. And I've used up just the last couple of dregs this morning. I used up my Pat McGrath little tinted lip balm. This was in the shade Blow Up. You can see that it is flat. It is used up. I will have on the screen where I was up to last check-in. There was only a tiny little nub. I haven't scraped into this. I could use it as like a pot lip balm, but I haven't and I can't be bothered. So that one is done. The only thing I didn't quite finish, but I'm going to count it as done, is my NARS concealer. This is the soft matte complete concealer, and I was talking about how I was using it sort of as a bit of a foundation. I'm wearing it as a foundation today. So I use a bit of a stippling brush. I pick it up, I buff it into like my SPF, or I mix it with my SPF or whatever it happens to be. I've got very little left. Hang on, I'll zoom in. I don't know if you can see, but I've got just a little bit around the edges left, and that's probably like 2 or 3 applications worth. Over New Year's, I went to my mum's place and we went to the beach a few times. So there was a few days where I wasn't wearing any makeup, and the reason I'm counting this as done is if I was wearing this on those days, it would be done by now. So by the end of the week, this will be done for me. I didn't want to hold off filming this because this is my opportunity to film. So I thought I'm going to count this as done because it'll be done by the end of the week, even though there's a little bit left in it. So there's that. Last thing that I did actually finish, I've nearly forgot about this, my little Hourglass lipstick. This is the shade My One Desire, and that is done as well. I had a tiny little nub, but it broke off, so I didn't completely use it up legitimately. But I couldn't save it. It fell on the floor, and it is what it is, but I used up the majority of it anyway. In terms of the rest of the stuff that I had in my project pan, I'm going to actually continue these into my next project pan. I can't be bothered weighing them today. Judge me if you will. I've got limited time. My kid is going to wake up and he's going to come in and he's going to disrupt this video. I promise you that. So I'm going to just carry these over because of my mini MAC project pan. A lot of these things I won't touch for the next month or 2 or 3. So I'm just going to use these organically and include them and weigh them when I start the fresh project pan. I barely use my highlighter. There's no point putting any progress on the screen. I'll just show you where it's up to now, but it's pretty much exactly where I was up to last check-in because I haven't used it. I've used this a couple of times, not enough to see really any progress. Same as my Nabla eyeliner. I think I've used it once. These I've used a little bit, but whatever. The one thing that I've probably seen most progress on is my Winky Luxe powder that I introduced last check-in. I'm not sure if you can see, but I can already see the rings forming. So pretty much the design has almost completely worn off and I'm starting to see the rings. I'm going to take a break from this over the next month, mainly because, well, firstly, if I just used it at the rate that I normally use it, I'll probably hit pan on it before I actually start my next project pan. But also I've introduced a really large loose powder into my MAC project pan. So that's going to be my main focus. So a lot of these products are just going to be on hiatus until I start in February anyway. So yeah, I'm not going to bother with weights and progress shots and stuff of that right now. We'll revisit those in February. All right, so time for my recap of how much products I used up in my 2022 project pan. And the answer is 40. Now, that doesn't sound, look, it sounds like a lot when you think it's predominantly like just makeup and I think there's one perfume. Oh, I forgot to talk about my perfume. There's, again, barely any progress. I didn't even mark it when I did my last check-in, so I've got to mark this, but perfume's still going and that will continue into my next one as well. All right, so 40 sounds like a lot, but at the same time it doesn't sound like heaps. I used up probably well over 100, maybe 150 products in my empties. I've still got an empties pile under my desk that I haven't done a video on, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and more intimidating. So I do use up a lot of hair care, skincare, body care and whatnot. But in terms of makeup, it's very hard to use up makeup unless you really dedicate every day to using it. So 40 products I'm pretty happy with. It's probably not my best year, but I think in the scheme of things with a toddler and being pregnant and having a newborn, I think 40 is very good. When I break it down, I use 3 primers. I included a sunscreen in that because I was using a sunscreen as a sort of primer product. When it comes to foundation or tinted based products, including my tinted SPF, I used up 6. That's pretty good. That is encouraging. That's also including the powder foundation. That's encouraging because I've got to draw still quite a lot of foundations I want to get through. They're getting old. I'd need to use them up. So probably another year of using up my foundations and having this sort of result of using up 6. And I think my foundation collection will be under control. I'll probably only have like 2 on the go, and I can actually start buying and testing new stuff, which would be fantastic. So that was really, really good. Including the NARS concealer that I have a couple of uses left on. I used up 3 concealers. I used up 5 powders. I use up a lot of powders. 1 bronzer, no blush or highlighters to completion. I used up 1 eyeshadow primer. It's not the Urban Decay one. It was actually MAC Painterly Paint Pot. So whether you consider it a cream eyeshadow or a primer, it's just, I guess it just depends on how you used it, and I used it as a base, so I considered it a primer. I used up 2 eyeshadows. They were the Mini Stealer Glitter and Glow, whatever they were called. I used up 2 of those. I used up 4 eyeliners. I believe 2 of them were liquids and 2 of them were pencils, or 3 pencils and 1 liquid, something like that. 4 mini mascaras, so sort of like sample size, travel size mascaras. 1 brow pencil, 1 lipstick, which is the Hourglass lipstick, 4 tinted balms or lip glosses, 4 finishing sprays, a lot of them were like little bottles, and 1 perfume. So that's all the stuff I used up in 2022 when it comes to my project pan. Again, not my empties, I used up a shit ton more empties. And breaking it down and looking at it in categories, it really gives me a good indication of what I can use up and what I can focus on in future project pans. So if you're new to project panning and you're like, I'm not getting anywhere, give yourself some time, reflect on what you have used up, and just try to focus on more of that. If you've got a lot of foundations and you find that you can use a foundation every 2 to 3 months, just keep going with foundations. Even if it's just foundations that you've used up, you've made progress in your makeup collection. So for me, it's pretty much foundations, powders, surprisingly eyeliners, mascaras, lip balms or glosses, and finishing sprays. They're the things I can get through pretty quickly. So they're the things that I will try to make an effort of focusing on a lot more to see a lot more progress this year. All right, so that's my finale for my hashtag Team Project Pan 2022. I will be back in February with a new version of this so I can start fresh, which will be exciting. And I think it'll be very base product focused and eyeliner focused at the moment, because in my MAC project pan, my mini capsule project pan, I've got a lot of lip products, I've got eyeshadows, I've got cheek colors. So I won't introduce those products into my full face project pan until the MAC project is almost done. All right, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a great panning year in 2022. Or if you're starting this year, best of luck, stick with it. And my main tips, look, I'll link a video down below where I talk about panning tips, but my best tip would be to focus on products that you realistically can use every day and force yourself to use them every day. Have a little makeup bag, a little tub of makeup that you go to every single day so you're not distracted by the rest of your collection. Because if I'm sitting at my makeup desk with all the rest of my makeup, I'm not going to pick my project pan stuff. That's no fun. So isolate it. Anyway, I've got a crying kid. Got to get going. Have a great one.